This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the IREX Digital Reader DR800SG. Now, that's not the most exciting name for a product, but DR stands for Digital Reader. 800 indicates that it's an 8-inch, or really an 8.1-inch e-ink display. This is available now from Best Buy online, and it should eventually appear in Best Buy stores. It sells for $3.99, same price as the Sony Reader Daily Edition PRS 900. We'll show you what you get, since this is something that you probably won't see in the store right away. It's the reader itself, obviously. It's the box that it comes in. Inside the box we got space for the reader, get your USB cable, a little getting started guide, and there's also charger, USB based charger, neoprene case, no nice leather flip case, sorry, and there's a stylus holder here on the back of the case. Thank God, because there's no stylus silo in the actual reader body itself, unlike most PDAs and smartphones, which means you're in danger of losing it. The stylus is required if you want to use the touch-based navigation here. Actually, it's not touch, it's purely stylus. This is a Wacom display, like a tablet PC display. This is an active EMR pen. You can't just touch with your finger, nothing's going to happen here. It has to be the special pen. It's a Wacom pen-enabled display, which means if you have a tablet PC like the HP TM2 tablet we just recently reviewed, the stylus from that will actually work. They are interchangeable. This does not use the newer Wacom Intuos style pen, for those of you who are into tablets. The good thing about having a Wacom display is it doesn't interfere with clarity, so this looks just like the Kindle 2 e-ink display or the Sony Reader PRS 505, the Nook, that kind of thing right there. So let's take a look at this more closely. You can see this is large icon-based home screen here. This is your flip bar for page turns. If you press straight down, you'll actually select the thing that you've highlighted. This is the home button, so you can get back to the home anytime you want when you're doing something else. And this is an LED indicator here that turns amber when it's charging and will flash blue when wireless is on. So this has 3G via Verizon Wireless EVDO. You don't have to pay a monthly charge to use that service. You can use that to download books. There is no web browser available to just visit websites. And we'll take a look at the downloading book business in a bit. You have a 3G indicator here to let you know 3G is available if anything is ready to download. You have an icon here. This is your battery status. This arrived completely uncharged. It took about 10 minutes of charging before it would even turn on, and we had to charge it for about 15 hours before it was full the first time. Since we just got it, we'll have to see how that goes in the future. It's a plastic bezel, and they did an amazing job of matching the gray, light gray background of the e-ink display itself, so you don't really notice this being gray quite as much as you do, say, with the Kindle or the Nook, which are white. Take a look at the back here. Plastic back. If you unscrew this door, the battery is right underneath the door. In fact, the battery is affixed to the door. Connects via a cable connector. It's easy to unplug. There's also the micro SD card slot in here. It comes with a 2 gig micro SD card. And there's a SIM card slot, though, for the US version that isn't used, since Verizon does not use SIM cards. See how thick it is, or thin it is? Quite thin. It's the power switch. If you slide it to the right, you can put it in hold mode so the buttons don't change anything. Micro USB port right here, used for charging and for copying books from your computer to the device. Compare this guy to the Nook. In terms of size, this is an 8.1-inch display. This is your usual 6-inch e-ink display. You can see the IREX is wider, but not quite as tall. And the thickness, there you go right there, and the Nook is just a little bit thicker. So given the huge display on this, relatively speaking, for e-ink, it's actually a very compact device. We'll put it next to the Behemoth Kindle DX with a 9.7-inch screen see, obviously much smaller, especially given the added screen real estate that you've got there. In terms of background grays and contrast, they're very similar. Next, we'll compare it to probably its most direct competitor in terms of price and features, which is the Sony Reader Daily Edition, the PRS 900. In terms of size, you can see it's wider but shorter. Now the Sony has a touch screen and it works with the stylus, but it's a regular old resistive stylus, which means it's basically like your fingernail. Whereas this one requires use of the stylus. You can't use your fingernail, you can't use your finger. Let's compare text. Here you can see we've got a book open up with relatively similar typeface on each of these right here. And this one has higher contrast and a bit less glare, of course, than the Sony, because the Sony touchscreen layer adds a bit of glare and reduces contrast a little bit, because the touchscreen layer is like having a lens over the display. The line width here is still very readable. You don't tend to get lost on a line, though this may be some folks' ideal way of doing things. They both can rotate to landscape mode. This does not have two-page mode, but this has more of a 4:3 aspect ratio. This is 1024 by 768 resolution, where this is 1024 by 600 here. We'll do a comparison here with the Barnes & Noble Nook. This is running the latest firmware, so it's pretty responsive now at this point. We've chosen, there's no exactly equivalent font size between the two of these. This is slightly bigger, but if I go smaller, it'll be smaller than that one. So right now we're in the medium font size over here. I really like the Nook's Masses font particularly. It's very bold and sharp. It creates a lot of contrast. But as you can see, they're both readable, and there's really minimal glare on either of them. In fact, this probably has slightly less glare. There's a slight sheen to the display on the Nook. If you want to compare page turn speeds, this guy is obviously faster. This is the fastest page turn I've ever seen on an e-ink display.